StitchyTube, settle down and watch StitchyTube. Hello, hello, hello. It's so hot outside. It is July 6th, I think, and I'm coming to you with StitchyTube number 21, lucky number 21. And I thought I'd start today's StitchyTube with Winner Winner Chicken Dinner. Rhonda Clements, or Clements, you win the drawing from last time, which was some DMC floss and some coasters, like a coaster needlework kit. And the question last time was, what do you like to do when it's hot outside? And she said she loves swimming or stitching in the cool. And I found that a lot of you like to do those kinds of things, go to the beach. Some of you like to garden or be outside, but most of you like to be inside with your needlework, and that's exactly what I like to do too. I've got a drawing again for the next week, or the next time that I make a video. And what I'm giving away is some threads and some trim. I thought I'd go with some pretty, it's so hot, so I tried to pick like just kind of soft, cool colors. There's 3 Nina's threads, Fairy Wings, Caribbean, and Allium, and then 2 chenille trims in just kind of a pale mossy green and kind of a coral. Nice, beachy, soft, cooling, soothing colors. And let's see, what would the question be? I guess I forgot to get one. What is your favorite summertime treat? And I remember, so the question is, what's your favorite summertime treat? Just tell me in the comments what you think is a great treat during the summertime. Ice cream obviously is really good. I remember having get-togethers like down at in Brampton where my mom grew up. And sometimes when it was summer and there would be like a big gathering, there was somebody that would bring a giant bowl of raspberries. And I thought it was so amazing and exotic, because back in the 70s, like I don't know that they had raspberries at the grocery store. We certainly never bought any. We didn't have bushes. We would buy blueberries, but raspberries, and it was like as many as you could eat, and I would eat so many raspberries. I love raspberries. And Fitz is biting the chair. So the raspberries, that's to me a great summertime treat. A really good watermelon is so good, but watermelons can be kind of hit or miss, and it's always like, where do you put it? Because I don't know, they're big, right? I just saw a video the other day where they cut into a 288-pound watermelon, where it was like this guy tried to see how big he could grow it. It was crazy. I don't know if it really tasted very good. It was pretty big. So what's your favorite summertime treat? I'm going with raspberries. And so that's the thing for next time. Don't mention giveaway. Please be 18 or get your mother's permission or your father's permission. Now, normally I start my videos with like the questions from last time. And as you can see, I'm in the process of getting moved into my craft room. The painting is done. I've got to paint the inside of the closet. I'm going to take the doors off of the closet to make the room look a little bit bigger. And I've started to pull needlework off the walls, and I'm starting to get that organized, clean those up, fix things. And so I can't find my notes. Everything is in turmoil. And there's a notebook that I keep the questions in from last time. When I find that, I will answer those questions. I do try to answer questions as you ask them also. So if you asked a question, I will do that sometime on the video, but I did answer you on the last YouTube video. So I'm sorry, no questions and answers this time. But I am going to tell you what I'm all into, and I thought I'd start that early too. I do like to mix things around. One of the things that I'm all into right now is Bob's Red Mill Apple Blueberry Granola, and it looks like this. And I found it at our local grocery store, like the local chain called Corner Market. And I've bought the Bob's Red Mill stuff before. He has like, different grains and flours and products and things. I like granola, especially with those summer raspberries. So what I do is I get a bowl in the morning. I put in a little yogurt, either plain or vanilla, a handful of raspberries, and a sprinkling of this for some crunch. And that makes a great breakfast right away in the morning. And it's funny because it's called apple blueberry. So I ate it. I got the first bag, and I went through the whole first bag, and I was like, wait a minute. I don't think I saw one blueberry. So then I looked in the ingredients, and it's blueberry juice. So you don't actually see the blueberries, which is fine. Oh, it says it's got peach juice too, and pear juice. and it's got dried apples, but it's very good. It's kind of sweet, and I don't necessarily like granolas that have a lot of nuts. I like nuts, but I just don't like a really nutty, honey flavored granola, and so this I really like. I think here it runs about $4.50. And I'm all into to-do lists. I didn't bring my to-do list, but I'm trying to get organized. This is the year of movement, the year of change, the summer of cleaning out. And so I always have kept, kind of a mental to-do list. And I thought, you know what, Therese, start writing everything down, and that way you won't forget anything. And also you'll just kind of, it'll be fun to kind of cross things off and whatnot. And my to-do list was way bigger than I thought it was. And so it was really good to write it down. And that first week I crossed off like half of it, but it was several pages long. And so I'm continually adding and crossing off things. And it really does help me, like I get up in the morning, I look and I'm like, okay, which ones of these things need to get done today and which ones can wait? Because I think sometimes, our propensity is to do the things that are fun to do or that, are easy to do. And then you put those like hard, not fun things off. And it's just, if you look at the list, you're like, okay, well, this really, I got to do this today. I'm all into, oh my gosh, I'm going to share a picture here. I found this. So I was looking on the Skinner Auctions website, Skinner's Auctions, and they sell antiques, and you can go online and see like samplers that are coming up for a bid and put in a bid and then wait and see if you win it. And so I was just looking through past auction history just to see if there were any interesting samplers. And I saw this sampler, which the sampler is cool, but the coolest thing is that frame is scrimshaw. So it's like whalebone or ivory or some kind of carved something. And the needlework is still attached to the frame. And the first person I thought of was Kathy Barrick. And I was like, Kathy, I emailed her. I said, have you seen this? And she goes, oh my gosh, are you going to buy it? And she was like, Skinner is so expensive. And I was like, well, no, I'm not going to buy it because the auction was last year and it was almost $9,000. But I said, it would be worth selling your car for. And she was like, I've never seen anything like that. I was like, me either. It was super cool. Wouldn't it be great? I think it's just really neat. I'm all into my pin cushion thread catcher. So, people have kind of gotten so that they do ort jars where it's like they have a, ort is an actual word too. Stitchers talk about orts like the little leftovers. And if you play Words with Friends or Scrabble, ort is a word, O-R-T, and it just means a leftover or a remnant. And a lot of people have a little ort jar that they catch their little nubblies in, and then their little leftover threads, and then they, stuff a pincushion with them. Or I've seen people like get a glass ornament, like a clear glass Christmas ornament, and then stuff all the orts from the year into an ornament. Historically, my technique for dealing with orts has been to snip and toss and then vacuum them up later and then cut them off the spinning part of my vacuum. It's a cycle. But I don't do that anymore. It's tricky with cats. Like, you have to be careful. Like I've got a ton of thread, and cats will totally eat thread. Ruby is crazy about eating thread. And, so I try to just throw it away as I go. And I've historically kept just a little nest on the arm of my chair, and then I pick it up. Well, what I've started doing, where did it go? Here it is. You might remember I finished this recently. It's a Blackbird Designs piece in, I think, Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day, the book, and it's really a cute little pincushion. So I sit this right by my chair, and I just put my orts on this, and because it's fabric, like they cling to it, and then that way they're not like, if the air conditioner kicks on or the fan or a cat like zooms by, they just stay put. That's kind of a weird tip, but I'm doing that. I'm into it right now. Okay, and the last thing I'm all into is Greek salad. We got a new place in town with Greek food called Tzatziki's, and I think it is a chain. It's really good, and it's not very expensive, and it's just kind of like light Mediterranean food. And had a Greek salad, and I was like, oh, I forgot how much I like Greek salads. And I was like, Therese, they sell the ingredients for Greek salads at the store. So I bought a tub of greens that are ready to go, tomatoes, and then I got those cucumbers that are the, they're not seedless, but it's like they're really long, skinny kind of cucumbers that come in plastic. They're very tender, and the skin is very tender. And then some Greek olives I got at Sam's, and some feta and some Greek salad dressing. And so then like for lunch, I'll just chop up a tomato real quick, chop up part of a cucumber, toss in some salads, sprinkle some feta. It's just like a quick 2 minutes to put it together. It's delicious. It's pretty good for you, I feel. So I'm all into Greek salads. Okay, that's what I'm all into this week. I've been doing stitching. I've had a busy couple weeks, actually. I've been working my butt off. And I didn't make a video last week. I kind of felt like everybody was on vacay. And, you know, like Instagram got kind of quiet, and email got kind of quiet, and my website got kind of quiet, and YouTube kind of slowed down. And I thought, you know, I'm not going to make a video for... I'm going to wait, just because I feel like everybody was busy or out of town. And now it's hot, and the 4th of July is over, and we're all back inside. And I've been stitching. I started... This I will finish this weekend, I feel. So this is exciting news, guys. You know, my zine is coming out in a couple of weeks, and so I wanted to release... There will be several projects in the zine, one of which is a reproduction sampler. And I bought this not so long ago. Do I have anything white to put behind it? Here, we're going to do this so you can see it, because I feel like you're going to... It's very kind of... The fabric is a very loose weave. That's a pretty good picture of it. And the girl's name was Margrethe Sorensen. And 1873 is when she stitched her sampler. And it's a marking sampler. And it's got some 4-sided stitches here by my pinky. And it's got some eyelets there at the bottom. And you see it's got this really cool double line that runs through the linen. And you can make that. And so there are going to be instructions on doing that. I've been working on it this week. I'm stitching it in mostly Classic Colorworks, and then there's one color of Weeks and one color of Anchor Floss. And here's my reproduction of it. And it's been really fun to stitch so far. The colors are very soft and pretty. These letters right here, she stitched in purple. I'm going to show you the back and see if you can see how purple these letters were. There's the back. And yeah, you can see, pretty dang purple. So her colors were pretty bright. But then the front, they faded more to just like a kind of a charcoaly, purpley gray. So I'm using the color for that worked great is Classic Colorworks Zac Black, which is kind of a purpley black, you know, grayish black. And so anyway, I'm working on that, and the chart will be in the magazine, and then it also instructions for making this double line. Oh my gosh. And it's kind of fun to do. I'm like, oh, I could totally do this on other projects. You just pull a thread out all the way across and then weave in, like, you know, just up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down with your thread. And you can kind of wiggle your needle like this and then pull it, and then wiggle your needle like this and pull it. And it looks really, really, really cool. You see that? Anyway, very exciting. I love it. I'm going to finish it as a little mat, you know, where it's kind of like what she would have done, but I think I will put a backing on it. A lot of times when you find these old samplers, put it back against a sheet, they come just as where the edges are finished, you know, just kind of rolled and then hemmed. And then this one, it's got glue along the sides, and I when I got it, it was just as it is. You're seeing it right here. Probably at some point somebody glued it to something to frame it, or, you know, attach it to something. It seems like mat board or something like that. But, you know, you don't really want to wash something like this because you can really ruin the piece. So that's one of my projects that I've been working on. Okay, and then I've also been working on, I forgot about this. I was working on this last week, and then I didn't work on it for a week. But this one is Autumn's Fruitful Labors by Brenda Gervais, the one, the only, the talented, the amazing. I freaking love that piece. It is so pretty. I'm stitching it on 40 count pecan pie that I got from Silk Weaver a few years ago. And I love the little people. I love the colors. The colors are super unusual. This is what it will look like when it's finished. And I have this in my shop if you're interested. I think Jen at Jen Stitching Niche has probably got it too. I guess I don't know if Julie's got it, but so there's that. I was working on that, but I didn't work on that at all this week. This week I did work a little on Hopeful. by Kathy Barrick with Carriage House samplings, and I'm working on getting a whole bunch of the back catalog of Carriage House for my shop. I'm trying to get a hold of Marty so I can place a big order with her. I've got 2 pages of charts I want to order, but it's really cute. And you know, I feel like this one got missed. I think it's really, really cute. I'm having a blast stitching it. Oop. Dismal Hollow Road. And it's got all the little animals in there and a black pig. Totally love that black pig. And she says, let's see. She has a note. Hopeful is, alas, a town for my imagination. However, there is a Mount Misery Road in Pennsylvania, and there is a Dismal Hollow Road in Virginia. And so she's got those on there, and I think that's really cool. Kathy's so awesome. Okay, and then I had a finished object, which was this, and I think I put the book away. This is a Blackbird Designs, and it goes on this. So I've had this box for a while. You get them at Hobby Lobby. I don't remember how much they are. But they're like $8 or something like that. And they're in with, like at our Hobby Lobby, they're in with the baskets. Jen and I were at Hobby Lobby this week, and they still have these. So if you want to do the project, they still have this. The kind of interesting thing to me was the greens don't match at all. And so I don't know if the greens were meant to match. I'm fine with it because wabi-sabi. But I plan on, the inside is like a black kind of canvasy, fabric-y kind of thing, and I'm not super crazy about it. I'm going to try painting it. Like maybe this taupey color? I don't know. I'm going to try to do something to make the inside more interesting. Maybe put in a divider or two, like Barb and Noma do. And then the bottom has a terrible big sticker on it. And when I pulled it off, it pulled paint with it. But I think what I'm going to do is I've got that adhesive cork, which I think you can get typically at the craft store. And I'm going to trace around the box on the cork and then put a cork bottom on it so that it doesn't slide. You know what I mean? Or scratch whatever it's sitting on. So that's going to be one of my projects that I do this week. It ended up with a bare spot, and I love to just stick buttons on things kind of randomly, just a grungy old button. So that was an FO this week. I had a couple of FFOs. This is, Sue stitched me this for our sampler exchange with me and Jen and Kathy and Sue. And this was our last exchange. When did we get this? Recently. March? April? It was April. I think it was April. April, yep. So this is an old Sheepish Designs piece, and she changed the colors to be kind of more like 1950s retro, kind of cool, which I love. And she did eyelets. Let's look at the pretty eyelets. Oh, I love eyelet. Eyelet letters are the prettiest. And so I kind of liked this barnwoody kind of frame. It kind of matched the deer, and it's got like chunks missing from it. And you know me, I love wonky, weird things like that. So that one is it's fully finished and ready to hang in the new craft room. And I took another piece in and got a frame too. You may remember this one, Miss Elizabeth Milner. And this is a frame that I really, really like. I used it for this one too. Funky Bird, which he's also in my shop, but the chart. And I just love this frame. It's just kind of chippy and dark and, you know, foreboding. Do you have any frames that are foreboding? Yes, we do. So when I frame, I haven't even stitched her sister yet, but she's in my list of things I want to do. I'd like to do it this year. I love these ladies. I love her smoky eye thing going on, and her like, ooh, like I love the little hats. She was fun to stitch, and it's just DMC. But anyway, I framed that, and that's all ready to go in the craft room too. And then somebody this week, oh my Lord, who was it? Kindred Stitcher? I don't remember. Was it Lori? I don't remember. Somebody showed this one, and I thought, hey, I did that one too. I'll show you mine. And this is a Bent Creek summary piece. It's probably called like Summer Snapperville or Summer Snapperland or something like that. They came out as 4 separate charts, and then there was a freebie chart with a pack that you got. Did I not put any of the buttons? I guess I didn't put the buttons in the border. But each little chart came with snaps that you literally just snap on the front and the back of the fabric. And this little guy has a peg leg. And it's kind of cute. It was fun to stitch. And I love the frame. My frame shop doesn't carry this frame anymore. They switched a whole bunch of their frames. But it's really a cute little piece. And I thought, well, it's summer, so I'll show it to you guys. I finished this one a few years ago, and it used to hang in my shop. Okay, so that's FOs, FFOs, works in progress. Okay, whips I did. Okay, Stash Flash, I don't have a lot. I did go to the frame shop, but I found this on eBay recently. I love Fancy That charts. To me, they were like one of the first designers that I saw really using like Just Another Button Company buttons and the hand-dyed fabrics and the hand-dyed fibers. And I have stitched a fair number of them. I've given a bunch away though. And this was one, it's called Ba. And I stitched this for my friend, Jennifer, not Jennifer here, but a different Jennifer friend. And she is a knitter. And it's got this little black sheep with the stars on him. It says, Ba, have you any wool, with a sweater. And does it have buttons or something? Yeah, it has little buttons and a ball of yarn. And it was really cute. And I gave it to her, and I was thinking about it recently, and I was like, oh, shoot. I don't think I have that chart anymore. So I found it on eBay, which is cool. So that's kind of where you have to find them, is Fancy That charts, eBay or Etsy, or I guess Stash Unload, or one of those type of things, or a friend. I have a good number of Fancy That charts in my stash. I've stitched a few. Maybe I'll show them sometimes, the ones that I've done, but they're really, really cute and primitive. Primitive in a cool, funky way. So that's my Stash Flash. Not very big. I was kind of laughing the other day because I was watching, the people, the Barb and Deb. Why can't I think of their names? They're the Country Friend Stitcher people. They're very, very sweet. They do the Gadget Corner. I'm sorry, I forgot your names. Nice ladies. The nice ladies do the Gadget Corner. And I was joking to somebody on the phone the other day. I said, yeah, I should totally do a Gadget Corner. My gadgets are needle and scissors. But then I was thinking about it. I was like, you know what? That's not really true. I do have gadgets that I use. And so I thought, I haven't done a list of 10 in a while. My nose is itchy. And when your nose itches, that means somebody's talking about you. And then what is it? Like if you hear ringing in your ears, it's somebody walking on your grave. I don't know if any of that's true. It might be. I don't know. That's what YouTube said. Somebody online said that. So I thought I'd talk about 10 gadgets, a list of 10. And I'm going to start with the most important tool, which is needles. These are my favorites, the Bowen Tapestry point needles. A Tapestry point needle has a more blunt kind of rounded end, which you don't, and I always make sure to tell people when they're new to stitching, like when you give them a tapestry needle, to say, I'll always like illustrate, like, see, I can poke myself and it doesn't go in. These are blunt needles. Because I think people think of a needle as like, ooh, I got to be really careful because I'm going to poke myself. And you totally can. I ran one under my fingernail the other day. We've all done that. So I love size 28 on 40 count or higher, and on silk gauze. And then I like size 26 for any like 36, 32, 28. And that's the reproduction that I'm doing right now. I'm using a size 26. But I think needles is one of those things that you find a brand that you like and you kind of stick with it. I don't like the petites. My fingers are kind of long and gangly, and just the regular size works well. Since I use the sewing method, I really need length to my needle. When it's too small, I lose it. Number 2 is scissors. Obviously, we all use scissors. I have, having been in the business a long, long time, I have oodles of scissors that I've just collected. I don't know where I got these. They're tiny, tiny, which I really like. I used to carry Bowen in my shop, and I'm going to be soon carrying Bowen on my online shop because they really are so good. Bowen scissors are so good. If you have the opportunity to like splurge, like you get Santa visits you and gives you a big check. Bowen scissors are just high quality. They last forever. They have sharp, sharp, sharp points. So if you need to like dig in and snip out a thread or whatever, they just are really good. And I mean, I think for as much as you would use them, getting a good pair of scissors, and I totally have used kids' cast off scissors from school. So I'm not hoity-toity at all about like, I only use, the finest blah, blah, blah. There are scissors that are like jewelry grade scissors, like $800 scissors. I don't use those, but Bowens are really nice. And if you're going to buy one pair of really nice scissors, whatever brand it is, I really like a size like this where it's, I don't know, it says 5 inches. And so a pair of scissors like this, you can use to snip threads, obviously, but you can also, in a pinch, use it to cut fabric. So like if you're going to a retreat and you need to trim something down, you don't end up, like if you have these, trying to like cut a 1/4 yard of fabric. Having kind of a mid-size pair is really nice. And I have some fobs and things that I get as gifts, and I try to use them. I've got them hanging on things. And this one, I think Shepherd's Bush sent this once with a shipment. It's got a little turtle. Is it a little turtle? A little fish and a little shell. But I got a shipment one time in the summertime, and they had stuck these in there, which was so nice. Okay, I use thread palettes, not all the time, but sometimes. And I brought a few to show you. I'm probably going to now use this one. I used to carry these, and this one it's broken a little bit right there. So I never sold this one. But Kathy Barrick had this dude that used to make like fine wood thread palettes for her. And they were very, very smooth. I don't have any more. This is the last one I have. He does not make them anymore. And I think she doesn't even know where he is anymore. But for a while, he made these lovely little, and some of them were dark and some of them were really light, and they were different. And they weren't very expensive. I just loved them. So anyway, that's one. Primitive Hair, if you go to her Etsy store, it sells really, really cute thread drops. And I think a lot of people go, oh, like you would use those. Actually, it's really nice. Like if you've got like this reproduction that I'm working on has like 6 colors, just throw it on something like that. I don't need to know specifically what color it is. I can tell by looking at it because there's only a few colors. You obviously don't want to use any kind of an unmarked thread drop if you've got 100 colors, because you're going to just lose track of what's what. But when you're doing these little primitive pieces, it's kind of fun to have them on something cute and little. And so I've got a number of these, and I totally do use them. Not all the time, but sometimes I do. Thread palettes. Q-snaps. I don't use Q-snaps too often, but they're handy to have. I have, I think, 2 sets of 8-inch and 2 sets of 11-inch. I use them for silk gauze. I use them for pulled work. If I'm going to stitch over one on like 40 count or 36 count or even 32 count, I find that having my fabric in one of these helps a lot. And what you can do, so there are a few tricks, tips I'm going to give you about Q-snaps. You can get replacement clippy things, and they're not very expensive. And so you can have your Needlework store can order them. I think Yarn Tree's got them. I'm not sure who else might have them. But you also can, if these get loose, like you've just used them, you can throw them in the dishwasher, and the heat and moisture will kind of shrink them up again and tighten them up, and then they're just as good as new. Now, the Q-snaps, you can switch sizes. You can pull them apart and like combine them. I use this feature I hang them. I use I don't have a lot of clothes. I'd rather buy needlework stuff. And so you can, separate this and then clip it back together and hang your Q-snaps in your closet from your closet ring. And the thing that I like about Q-snaps that I like more than hoops. Now I love the idea of a hoop just because I think they're very classic and cool, is that when your fabric is in here, if it starts to get loose, you just twist your clips to the back and your fabric will go and get tight again. So if you don't have a set of Q-snaps, I do recommend them. There's a 6-inch size too, which I find to be really small, but some people, they make them and they sell them, so people obviously like them. You can get, I think there's like 11 by 17 or whatever, but for me, 8-inch is my go-to. It makes a lot of sense to me size-wise. It's easier to hold on to. Thread rings. I totally use thread rings, and these you can get on Amazon. You can get a box of them, so just, order them, or, you can get smaller sizes. This is like a 3.5 or a 4-inch ring, and you can hang your threads from this. And then you can hang these in your closet. And I'll show you when I do my craft room tour, but you just open it up, put it around your closet ring, and then you hang it, and your threads are just hanging, and then you can like shift through and find your threads. And I do, see that basket has a handle on the top? It's got thread rings hanging from the top of the basket. So, and I typically put things in alphabetical order by brand, but like, I've got my classic colorwork set divided by color now, so that when I'm designing, I can say I need a green and all the greens are together and I'm not sorting through. Okay, thread rings. Project bags. I love project bags. I have a few. I've started to kind of collect them. This one is from So Much to Love on Etsy. And I think somebody else had shown her, I've got cat hair everywhere, shown her bags. And I thought they were cute, so I bought one recently, and it's very, very well made. I love the enormous rickrack. That is so cute. And who doesn't love dogs and chairs? and she does this cute little thing. Very highly recommend that. My friend Kathy made me this one year. Well, she did the stitching and then she sent and had it finished, which I thought was a great idea to incorporate your stitching on there. I don't remember who did this design, but it's just as cute as can be. And then Sue made me this one right around market, and it's cool because she's got like her own little labels with her name on them. And it's got Paul Bunyan and Babe the Blue Ox. And it's got that plastic clear. And so I do use project bags, especially like if I'm going to go to a retreat or to someone's house. I use a lot of plastic bags too, because I don't have a lot of project bags yet. Certainly not enough for all of my projects. A lint brush is a great thing to have if you have cats or dogs, or if you're just extra hairy. This is my husband's, and he doesn't use it too often, I guess. But it's kind of only sticky one way, but it's not sticky. It's not like an adhesive. And then the other way is smooth. So you just brush it to get the hair, and then to get the fuzz off, you just the other way and scoop it off. And then you can flip which way it goes. This one's cool. I also have an adhesive one that I use too, and it's just handy for like giving your things a quick rub down before you get everything all hairy. Lint brush. Okay, rulers are great. I really like this size of Omnigrid ruler. It is an 18-inch. It's handy for cutting fabric. It's handy for measuring fabric, measuring threads, whatever. Save your coupons and get it at Hobby Lobby or Michael's. I have this really neat one that's made out of a piano key, and it's scrimshaw. And Marcia at the Cross Stitchery gave it to me, I think, once upon a time. It's got a little thimble and thread on it. I don't think the lady who did these does them anymore. And I'm now keeping this over here because I feel like it's neat and I should be using it because it's so pretty. But it's actually carved, like there are little etching marks, and it's painted. Okay, pin keeps are cool. And I like these mainly just for decoration. Oh, I'm missing a pin. This is a pin keep that I designed based on my Ann Harrison, what is it called? Ragamuffin number 1. I don't know if this one's in my shop. I'll have to see if I can get that uploaded. But anyway, the pins go in on the side, and then that way you've got pins if you are sewing or whatever and you need a pin for a second. This is a pin keep too, a little Christmas one. Got a couple pins in the top. This one I got at the Salty Yarns out on the East Coast. And there's a local dude who makes these out of wood. And I just thought this one of the whale was really, really cool. I don't know if she still carries these. She had mermaids and acorns and really cool ones. It came with pins. I substituted these black glass head German pins. But I think isn't he charming? I love him. And my lamp, I would say, is number 10. I have an Light lamp that I'm not super crazy about. I'm kind of waiting for it to die. It's starting to fall apart. It's pretty old. The bulbs are expensive, and for some reason, the one that I have has never really hung onto a bulb well, so I have to like wrap the base of the bulb to keep it in there. I do have, so I don't know what I'll get when that one dies. I do have this little Light that I got at Michael's, and this is great. You just pop it open and it's very bright. Very, very bright. And this is nice. Sometimes like I'm sitting and I want to like really see a color really well and get natural light on it, but it's dark outside. And this is nice for seeing colors like that. So that's my list of 10. I'm not a needle minder person because I stitch in hand. I don't really find needle minders to be that helpful. So I get them as gifts sometimes, and I totally love getting gifts. And I have a place that I put them all in and admire them as magnets. Okay, I don't remember if it was last video or the video before. I think it was last video. I talked about You and I and Friends, and I had an article that had been written about them in a magazine that I read. And people found that interesting. And I thought, I have one about Nancy Davis from Birds of a Feather. And I do have people once in a while who say, why does, what's Nancy Davis doing these days, the Birds of a Feather designer? And unfortunately, Nancy passed away in 2012. And so she's not with us anymore, but she's with us, obviously, in spirit. I know so many of you have been having fun working on the Sally Spencer sampler this summer, and her designs just continue even after all these years to be so utterly charming. But she died on November 17th, 2012. She was 63 years old. She was a great designer. I didn't know Nancy well. I had met her a couple of times at market. She was lovely. She was very talented. I loved her hand-dyed fabric. And I've stitched a good number of her designs, and when I was like looking through my finished pieces, I realized I've stitched a lot of them and then given them away, which is such a shame. Well, no, I'm not going to say it's a shame. I hope those people appreciate having those wonderful stitching pieces. But I've got a few here, and so I thought I'd share a few of my finished Birds of a Feather pieces and just kind of, and then I'm going to read an article. I had an article about her too, so you could learn a little bit about Nancy. One of her pieces that is still available is called the Bitter Flower Sampler. The bee sucks honey out of the bitterest flower. I just love the sentiment of that. Like that's the bee takes something that's kind of nasty and just says, you know what, let's make this something awesome. It's a very cute pattern. My friend Kathy Krause stitched this for me, and I framed it in an Eastside Moldings frame, and this is obviously going to go in my new craft room. I still love it. It's been hanging up over there, but it'll follow me to the new craft room. So that's one. That one, I have the pattern in my shop. It's still available. I think it's a $7 chart, guys. A lot of these, so Hoffman Distributing still has 43 of her charts still available. And most of them I think are $6 or $7. And so just be really careful. I've got about 9 or 10 in my shop, and I just got a box of more charts, and I think there's more Birds of a Feather in there. But whoever you get them from, if you want to have your local shop order them, Jen at Jen Stitching Niche carries them. I'm sure Julie's probably got them too over at Gulf Coast Stitches. But just whoever you order from, be aware that there are people on eBay selling charts that are still available for $6 or $7 for like $80 on eBay. Just be so careful because they're still around. Another one that is still around, oh no, I don't remember what this one's called. It's still available also. And I stitched this one a long time ago. And I used to carry these frames. Hog River was a great frame company. She made the coolest frames, and you had to kind of wait a while for them, but they're all like hand painted, hand stenciled, chippy, cool wood. She's not making frames anymore, and I don't blame her. I have no idea how she did what she did, because it had to have taken forever for her to make her frames. You can still sometimes come up with Hog River frames on eBay, but any stitcher worth her salt who had one of these has filled it up with needlework. And so you can see she even would sign the back of the frames. And when she decided to stop, she just stopped. She said, I'm done. And you kind of have to do that sometimes. People were like, well, why didn't she let people take orders? And it's like, she would have been making frames for 6 more years if she had said, I'll take orders and then stop. She just said, I'm done. I have made my last frame. It is over. Anyway, but don't you love this little skeleton with the mice and the snakes crawling around? And the little town is so cute. And the little witch with her mask. See, it's a mask. She's not a green witch. She's a girl with a witch mask. And then this fuzzy cat. Really, really cute. I don't have that one in my shop. I'll get that in though. But I bet, Jen might have it. Another one that I stitched was called the Summer Sampler. And I had it finished into a block. And I think I'm going to frame it or do something else with it. I don't know, but I think it's time for a change. I've had it this way for quite a while. There's a spring one too. This chart is still available. The spring one is still available. There was not a fall or winter. But with these kind of just bright colors, it's kind of a lot less, kind of dim than a lot of her other pieces. And these came with the fabric at the time. The one came with pink fabric and this one came with green fabric. Now it's just charts. And so Hoffman Distributing, a number of years ago, when Nancy decided, I think, to stop needlework designing, you can still get canvases too. She was a needlepoint designer as well, and she did freelance work. And you can still find her needlepoint designs at flocktogether.com. And I don't know if the cross-stitch stuff is up there anymore. But Hoffman got several pallets of charts, and so there is plenty of inventory. So don't panic and feel like you have to run out and, get them because you'll love them, but there are plenty. Now this one is one that is not available anymore. I got some stuff on it. This was a chart called Bee Beetle Bug. It's really cute. I used to carry it at my shop. It came as a little packet, and I had somebody finish it as a, you know, like a housewife or whatever. And I haven't used it, and I need to start using it. It's a little bit stiff because the fabrics, these were Green Mountain linens, and I used the colors that were called for. And Anna, of course, passed away a number of years ago too, but her fabrics were wonderful. Look at how grungy this one is. But I don't have the chart. This chart is not available. You'd have to like just watch for it, but it's really cute. So that's that. I've done a few others. I did, I'll show pictures here. I did the Kindness Sampler, and that one I stitched over one thread for a friend of mine. And it was really, really cute done that way. I have it in my stash again, that chart, and I would love to stitch it again. It's really, the colors are very pretty. It's kind of fall-like, really. And I love the whole idea of the kindness. I've stitched Sally Spencer, and that one I think I gave to my friend Kathy Krause, and that was really fun to stitch. I would totally stitch that one again. I have stitched the Snow Day stocking, and I've shown this in a video when I finished it. I stitched that for my nephew Noah, and that was really fun to stitch. There are a number of stockings still available. There's a girl with rabbits, there's Santa, there might be an angel, but the stockings are really cool. And then, oh, and then I already showed Summer Garden. Oh, and then I stitched one called Lost Spirits. I'll see if I can find a picture of that one. It's in the attic somewhere, and that one's really cute too. And I finished mine as a bell pull, but I'm thinking I may stick that in a frame. I'm not super into bell pulls. I don't have any bells. I don't know why I feel like I need to pull them. Anyway, so I have this article, Clear as a Bell. And this was in Stitcher's World magazine. I unfortunately do not know the date of the magazine, so I don't know where you could find it. It came with this pattern, Cute as a Bug. And so I'm going to read you the article. I hope you don't find it too boring. I just thought you might like to learn about Nancy since so many of us stitch her work. And then I'll show pictures as we go along. Nancy Davis was just 5 years old when she received her first acclaim for an art exhibition. Granted, the exhibition was in her elementary school, and the acclaim came from fellow students, but it was all the praise the young artist needed to decide what career path she would follow. I remember it very clearly, Nancy explains. I was walking down the hallway where they had displayed some of my artwork, and I heard some kids saying they liked it, and I thought, hey, I'm good at this. And it was nice to have something I felt really good at. That's when I decided to be an artist. Unlike so many children her age, Nancy never changed her mind about her career choice after that day. Instead, she focused on her goal and honed her skills with the help and support of her parents, Pat and Connie. My mom was a homemaker and was very involved with all kinds of crafts and artistic endeavors, she says. My dad was a dentist, but he was also very artistic, and I used to spend evenings with him in the basement doing oil paintings. I'll share this page with you. So there's Nancy, pretty lady, in her studio. And this here is one of her illustrations. She used to do like magazine illustrations and newspaper illustrations. She was very, very talented. Nancy cherished this time. Not only was it exciting to work with these messy paints at the tender age of 6, but in a family of 3 girls, it was a special treat to have time alone with her father. Pat and Connie encouraged artistic pursuits outside the home as well. They were always going to the art museum and taking classes, and when I was 8 or so, they enrolled me in my first class there, she recalls. By that time, Nancy was selling her work. I was interested in business at a young age, she explains, and I sold my things to neighbors and friends. Wouldn't it be cool to have one of her original drawings? In the 6th grade, the young entrepreneur had her own catalog of door plaques she designed. By high school, her product line had grown to include small gift items. She also earned money working in a clothing store, and during the summer, she attended art school. When it came time for college, Nancy pursued a fine arts degree with a focus on graphic design. I really wanted to be an illustrator, but at that time, if you were going to do that and make a living, you had to live in New York, she recalls. I would have liked to have lived in New York, but it just wasn't in the cards for me at that point in my life. What was in the cards was marriage and a freelance business. My dad was a good golfer, and he introduced me to my husband, she says. If it wasn't love at first sight, it was pretty close. Within 3 or 4 weeks of that introduction, Nancy and Mike Davis were engaged, and 6 months later, they were married. I'll show you this page too. So this has got a couple more of Nancy's illustrations up in the corner there, and then the girl with the shell at the beach. And then there are some of her designs. Now these animals are tricky to find, The only one that's still available as a chart through Hoffman Distributing is Silly as a Goose, I believe. I would love to find that cat one. The bee's pretty cute too. I don't have any of those. I don't think I have any of those. Okay. Mike was already enjoying a career as a professional golfer, and almost immediately after their wedding, Nancy started traveling with him on the PGA Tour. A freelance business was about the only thing I could do, she explains, because I needed that flexibility for traveling. And so began Nancy Davis Design and Illustration. It was fitting for the artist who had been selling her work since elementary school to have her own business right out of college. Although she traveled extensively with her husband, her discipline and experience paid off, and she continued getting jobs with newspapers, magazines, book publishers, and various other companies. As time passed and their traveling slowed down, Nancy began teaching art at the college level, first in Washington and then in Oregon. Later, she became creative director for Hanna Andersson, a catalog of children's clothing imported from Sweden. Her job included designing catalogs and art directing photo shoots. You learn a lot, believe me, she laughs when asked about photographing children. While she enjoyed working with children and college students, Nancy gradually came to the decision that it was time to devote all of her efforts to her own business. I had been doing freelance work all along, but it was only on a local level, she explains. I wanted to make the transition into selling my illustrations on a national level. She quit Hanna Andersson and worked around the clock toward her goal. When she got an agent in New York, she achieved it. But even this wasn't enough to occupy all of Nancy's entrepreneurial energy. I knew I didn't want to give up my freelance business, she explains, but I had been wanting a business where I could sell things. An idea was sparked during a shopping trip with her mother. We were passing by a great needlework shop called Acorns and Threads in Portland. Mom had so many projects in the works already, she didn't want to go in, but we did anyway. I remember first being drawn to all of the beautiful colors and floss, and then just walking around looking at things and thinking, I could do this. Nancy's plan was to design needlework and have her mother do the stitching. When they left the store, she turned to Connie and simply said, "We can do this." Connie's response? She said, "Okay, get started." I didn't know it, but she had been wanting some kind of business too. And so the mother and daughter team got busy, incredibly busy. Just 1 year later, under the company name Birds of a Feather, they exhibited their first needlework show with 16 designs. And I'm going to show you this page now too. So this one is the Red Reindeer sampler here, and I stitched this one for my sister. I didn't have a picture of that. That chart I don't believe is available anymore. You'd have to find that, from a secondary source. And then this chart is also one that's not available anymore, the angels in the little nativity scene, but it is awfully cute, isn't it? Let's see. The unique look and clever simplicity of the pieces won buyers over immediately. I think people were first attracted to our As A line, Nancy says, referring to the collection of designs that includes curious as a cat, busy as a bee, and quiet as a mouse. These designs originated from a greeting card line she developed prior to entering the cross-stitch market. Oh, hang on just a second. Okay, let's try again here. So that was Jen, and just had to catch up on what was going on today. And then in the meantime, Zero said he wanted to be held like a baby. So I got him a sling recently, and he loves it. I'll have to have it on here sometime. I got to shorten the string, though, because the sling's a little bit too deep. Right. Right, Zero. Oh, you're a baby. I know. Okay. So I had created several. Wise as an Owl was a graduation card. Happy as a Lark was a birthday card, and so on. Although she never used them as greeting cards, they translated perfectly into cross-stitch designs. When it came to designing other pieces, Nancy started from scratch. Coming up with ideas was never a problem. It's an awareness of everything around you, she says. Historical samplers really help in this business, but nature is a big stimulus, and of course you can get inspired by things other people are doing. Her mother, too, has always helped gather ideas, and for more than a year now, so has her niece, Megan Newton. Megan has a background in theater, in costume design, and stage management, and she started having an interest in what we were doing, Nancy explains, so last summer she became a partner in the business. Each of the three women has an area of expertise. Nancy, of course, does the designing, and since she designs on the computer, she also handles the charting. Connie does a lot of the stitching and works with the colors to get them just right. She's really good with color, and she can fix things in the designs if we don't like how certain thread colors are working together, Nancy says. Megan handles the business activities and is responsible for hand dyeing all of the company's fabrics. The fabrics are Zweigart linens in 32 and 36 counts. People who do reproduction samplers and samplers with a little more character really like stitching on them after we've dyed them, Nancy comments. They give projects an unusual or old-fashioned appearance, and they look great with over-dyed threads and some silk fibers. 6 colors of the fabric are offered now, and all are color fast. Some shades are created by mixing several dye colors together. Others require 2 or 3 dyeing processes to achieve the perfect look. The process is tedious, time-consuming, and very messy. And their fabrics, if you haven't ever seen them before, I'll have to show them sometime. I think I've got a few pieces here and there. Are any of these that I stitched on? I don't know. No, I don't know. Their fabrics were really like deep, like the color was real deep and mottled. So here's this page. This is an illustration that Nancy did for a magazine of a cross stitcher, which is pretty cool. And then there are 2 more of her designs. The one I showed you. Yes, 0. Oh, he's so nice. And then that little Jack piece, I think he is still available too. All right, we're on the last page. We worked about a year before we released our first 2 colors, says Nancy. It takes a long time to get it right, but Megan does it. And they all had names like Sparrow, Wren. Oh, why can't I remember Sparrow and Wren? Not woodpecker. They all had bird names, of course. Megan apparently is a very patient person who enjoys a challenge. Around the same time she joined Birds of a Feather, she adopted 3 children, all under the age of 4. The kids are siblings, and now they can grow up together because of Megan and her husband, John, Nancy says proudly. There aren't many people who would do what she did. I think that says something about her personality. Family is definitely a priority for Nancy, and working with her family provides the best of all worlds. I lived in Portland my entire life until a year and a half ago when my husband's job took us to Las Vegas, she says. Working with Mom and Megan is nice because it keeps us talking on a regular basis, even though I live away from them now. Although Nancy hated leaving Portland, she and Mike quickly became enamored with life in Las Vegas. I really didn't want to move, but I love it here now, she says. Her home is a lively medley of well-worn antiques, white shutters, birdhouses, and tin toys. Doesn't that sound nice? I've been collecting the houses and toys, especially motorcycles and birds, for a long time, and I use the color palettes on them for a lot of my illustrations, she explains. She and Mike share their home with their handsome cat Murphy and their 2 sons, Brian, a future golf pro who plays on his college team, and Cameron, a 5th grader who, though not an avid artist, enjoys being creative. Both of my sons like to make things, Nancy says. Essentially, I guess that's what I like more than anything else. Whether it's painting, textiles, or whatever, I enjoy the challenge of starting with nothing and making something from it. This kind of challenge has propelled her throughout her entire career. From the 5-year-old who enjoyed her first taste of success to the wife and mother with 2 thriving businesses, she has never lost her focus or her love for her art. And while her product line has grown immensely, from door plaques and handmade gifts, one thing has not changed a bit. People still love and buy whatever she's selling. And then it says, Birds of a Feather now has 75 cross-stitch designs available, as well as an assortment of beautiful hand-dyed linen. So, like I said, 43 are still available through Hoffman. So there are a bunch that are, no longer available. This last page has got these 3 up here, Loyalty, Honesty, and Patience. Those are really cute. I don't know if those are available. This one is still available. I've got that in my shop. I think it's just called like Primitive Alphabet or something like that. It's really pretty. Jennifer's done it. And that was done on their Sparrow linen, which is no longer available. But anyway, I just thought I'd share about Nancy. I feel like she was tremendously talented and important to the industry, and she had just so much creative energy and a definite look. And, she's just one of those that even though, she's been gone now for 6 years and some of these designs are probably 20 years old, they're still just as nice today. They've really weathered nicely, where they still just are very attractive. They're fun to stitch. Her color choices are very interesting, and I just think she just was always coming up with really cool ideas. I would love to find kind of one of my unicorns. We all have these charts that we're looking for. One of my unicorns is she had a chart called like French Lessons that had 6, it was maybe 4 or 6 little, and it was just like a boat. And then it said bateau. It was all like a picture and then a French word. And my friend Jennifer, not my current friend Jennifer, but a past friend Jennifer, stitched it over one in black thread, and OMG, was that cute. But anyway, If you haven't stitched one of Nancy's designs, they are really fun to do. The color choices are unusual, and a lot of times like it's a few really bright kind of crazy colors in with a lot of dull and muted colors. They're just fun. They're just really fun. So we remember Nancy, and we are glad that she shared herself with us. Okay, not too much left. I have a little bit of shop news, so if you're not super interested in hearing what's going on with the shop or with my business, you can tune out. But I'm going to try to keep this short. I have a store now at KittenStitcher.com. I'll put a link below. I sell my designs, and I'm also carrying other things. I now have, as of this morning, I had over 300 things, and now I've got a whole another box of things to add, and I've got more coming in all the time. So the shop is growing quickly. I got, there are a few pieces of news I want to share with you. Oh, and there's my phone again. Hang on, I'm gonna take this. All right, isn't it funny? Like you can do things all day with no interruptions, and like the minute you sit down to do something, everybody's like, "Hey, I gotta talk to you right now." Okay, we're gonna try this again. Shop news. Okay, S. Ward. Kits are almost ready. I'm waiting on the threads, the pashmina from Anne at Gloriana. I'm expecting it next week maybe. I have, I think, like 78 or 79 people already signed up, pre-signed up to get it. So I have like 21 kits left at this point that will be available. If you would like to get one, email me at xspeddler@yahoo.com. I'll put the link below to let me know if you'd like Aida or linen. I'm doing 16 count Aida or the 32 count linen. Still comes with the candy and the handmade paper mache strawberry. Hi, buddy. And the cost is $46, and then it's $3 shipping in the US and $6 shipping abroad. Flat, no matter how much you order. You do not pay for it now. I will email you when they're in and then give you instructions on how to go ahead and buy it. And now this doesn't mean I'm never going to make these kits again. If there's demand again, I'll turn around and make another 100. But I don't want to make 900 at a time and then be stuck with a bunch of them. So we're doing 100 more. I know people are working on it. Primitive Stitcher was working on hers. It looks great. The pashmina is really cool. Fractor Bird. This is a kit that, I released a few years ago. It sold out. I released it again at market this year. It sold out. I released it again. It sold out. I have threads. Well, wait, I have the kits. If you go to KittenStitcher.com, I've got kits. Jen has got kits. Lindy at the Silver Needle has got kits. And then Julie, I'm sending some to Julie at Gulf Coast Stitches too. And again, I'll make more. I made 150 this time, but they are blazing out of here. And the plan is that sometime kind of by late summer, I'll have a second one in the series available. And the cost on that is $18, and you get the hand-dyed Nina's threads from Hungary, which are really, really nice if you've wanted to try those. And then you get a hand-dyed spool and jute. There's no fabric. You just need a 16 count Aida or a 32 count linen to stitch it like I did. You can stitch it smaller. If you stitch it much bigger, you may run tight with the threads. Okay, and so then just a couple of notes on things that are in my shop that are new that I'm kind of excited about. You know how I like to decorate with old buttons, right? Let me see if I can find. I really just want to give you guys an excuse to look at my butt. I love old buttons. I love old buttons, especially if they're grungy, dirty, yucky, gross. Am I still recording? Yes, I think I'm still recording. I have a couple of jars of just old buttons that I like to play with, and I like them if they're chippy and grungy. I like them even better. And so like this is an example of one of my finishing where I just did a row of buttons all along the edge. Really cute. Oop. Whoop. And then there's a little button kind of hanging off of this. That's a shoe button. You can get those. But anyway, I thought, well, hey, it would be fun to get buttons for you guys. And so I've been kind of scrounging different places to find exactly the kind of buttons I like, which are grungy, old buttons. I don't want buttons from 1980 or newer, plastic, mass markety kind of buttons. I want buttons with grunge, grime, dirt, chips. And so I made, I don't know how many of these I made, like 70 packs of old buttons that come in crinkly. Who said they like crinkly? Joe at Pretty Southern. I love crinkly too. It's like Pavlov. You like start drooling. So just old grungy buttons that I have found different places, and these are things anywhere from the turn of the century to probably the 1970s or so. If there was stuff in there that looked too new and not interesting, I picked it out. But I've done a pretty good job of finding stuff that's got some age to it. Things that are made out of shell, bone, wood, fabric, leather, metal, plastic, what do you call it? Like celluloid. Have you ever heard the word treen? Treenware? Sometimes you'll be on eBay and I'll be like, oh, I'm looking for things, and it's like, it's treen. It just means it's made out of wood. I always thought treenware was like, oh, it's treen. Yeah, it's wood. But anyway, it's $9. You get about a third of a cup of buttons. I was going to count them out, and I'm like, I'm not going to count these buttons. So I just got a scoop, and each bag has a totally different scoop. You don't know what you're going to get. It's a grab bag kind of a thing, but I have a limited number of those. I'm looking for more. I'm not having much luck finding exactly the kind of buttons that I look for, and I have picked through them. So any that were like broken or unusable, I got rid of. I did not wash them because I like the grunge, so you can wash them if you want to. Any that were chipped, though, I love using chipped buttons. I think it looks really cool to use something that's got a chip out of it or like kind of a scuff. So those are called Granny's Button Bag. And you'll find those in the section of my website called Cool Stuff and Other Junk, which is just random charts, fabrics, and things. And speaking of fabrics, I tried my hand at dyeing some fabrics, and I don't have much of this left. I spent an entire day, almost a week ago, dyeing fabric. It was Weigert-based fabrics, and it was fun. And I'm pretty good at it, it turns out. Or at least I ended up with exactly what I wanted. I like grungy, dirty, primitive fabric. And I'm not going to tell you my technique because I'm still developing it. And I will tell you that I use some commercial dye and some natural dyes to get the look that I came up with. And I'm going to show you a few of them. And these are for sale in my shop by the quarter yard. This one is called Rusty Nail. And you can see it's got like just kind of these rusty kind of veins that run through it. This is a 40 count Weigert-based fabric. Is this Rusty Nail? Yeah, that's Rusty Nail. And I'm trying to give them names that are cool. I want things that have stains, smudges, splotches, weirdness. That's what I like. But you know, not so veiny that it's distracting. This one is called Grass Stain. Harrison named that one. And it is. It's like kind of just a light green grass stain that's kind of been gone through the wash, and it never came out all the way. That's a 32 count. This one is just called Grunge. And this is a brown. And what I do, this one's cool because it's got just random blotchies, is on the website there are DMC conversions to what kind of the main color is so that you know. And so one of the problems with hand dyeing fabric is it can come out differently, you know, each time. And so I'm doing it by DMC number, and I'm giving it a name. So if I'm able to dye and have something come out to the same DMC number, I'll give it the same name again. But I want people to be aware like what color it is that they're buying, because it's kind of disappointing when you order fabric and you think you're like, oh, I think it's going to be this, and you get it and you're like, oh, it's way greener than I thought or whatever. So at least, because it's hard I scan them on my scanner and then color adjust them on my monitor to make sure that they're as close to what it looks like as possible. But it's really hard to get the nuances and the exact color. Okay, what are you doing? Did you spaz out all of a sudden? You're doing crazy things? Okay. What? This one is called Pool Party, and Harrison named this one too. We thought it kind of looked, it's got like some stainy parts and some kind of aqua parts, and that's really cool. I have a little bit of a color left called Good Egg. Okay, so Zero stepped on the keyboard. I have a little bit of a color left, I think, called Good Egg, but I didn't bring that here. This one is called Nutcase. in a 32 count. Now I have other counts of fabric on the way. I have some 16 count Aida. I've got 28 count linen on the way. I've got more 40 and 32 and some 36 as well. I didn't order any this time, but I can get a 46 count linen called, what is it called? It's like Bellagio or Bergman or Balloon. I don't remember, but it's, I may do some 46 count and some neutral colors because I think that would be great for samplers. This one here is called Lost Penny. It's kind of a, you know, like a copper that's turned green, which is really cool. And that one totally made me think of my cousin and I one time in the summer out at the lake threw a penny into the, like off of a cliff into a watery area. And no one will ever find that penny. I get spooked by that sometimes. I don't know why. And then this one's called What a Dump, which I love. I love this. It is perfectly imperfect. It's got all these stains. So if you like prim, if you like dirty, grungy, stuff that looks like it's been in grandma's attic for a while, I actually have, let me see if I can find my thing here. I have kind of a funny description of the fabrics. I'm looking at my website. Let's see. Okay. So here's my statement on my hand-dyed fabric. Am I still filming myself? I am. Okay. Sorry, let me adjust. Okay. Okay, about the linen. Right now I'm dyeing in small batches, which means the linen you're getting is super unique. I like hand-dyed linens that look hand-dyed, that look like they've been in grandma's attic for 80 years, that have veins, splotches, stains, drips, watermarks, surprising bits of colors, and pizzazz. Every piece of linen is different. You can use either side as the front of the fabric. Both sides have their own unique markings. I do not recommend washing your fabric. I use a combination of commercial dyes and natural dyes, and if you wash the linen, you may either cause bleeding or a loss of color and definition. Many of my fabrics have been dyed twice, and they've all been ironed 3 times to make them as wrinkle-free as possible. I do use a little steam when ironing. I know you're not supposed to, but I'm a rebel. I've done the best I can to scan each color, but running a fabric through a scanner, a computer, an editing program, uploading it onto a website, and then running it through your screen at home, there are bound to be discrepancies. Use the DMC conversion in this listing as a guide. I promise you this fabric is pretty. I want to keep every scrap of it, but a girl's got to eat. Please note that with this batch, you may get some markings like you see in the second picture. Sometimes I'll include, like if you're going to see stains like on that last piece of fabric, I try to let you know that there may be marks like a certain kind, just so that you know. I think these are cool, but you might think they're stupid. This fabric looks old. It looks grungy. It looks like it was dragged behind a hog truck in the middle of July down a backcountry road where all you see are turkey vultures and the occasional skunk. But it smells pretty good. I like old samplers and prim pieces, and I design these fabric colors based on that love. But you do you. I just know you're going to love adopting this linen and making it your own, but use it, don't save it. When you frame your piece, consider using museum glass to protect the colors of your fabric and threads. Make sure to hang out of direct sunlight. Sing to it once in a while. It'll love you for it. So that's what my listing says for the fabric. I'm very excited about fabrics. I'm not planning on starting like being Lakeside Linens or anything. One of the things that I want to do with my site is really just be creative. Like get a wild hair and say, you know what, I'm going to dye 20 yards of fabric today. I did about 15 yards this first time, and I think I could do 20 in a day, and I might do that once or twice a month. And we'll see what people think. So I already have had designers contact me and say, oh, hey, are you, nope, no. I do not, I'm not interested at this point in getting into the fabric dyeing business. I think these are fabrics that you will love to stitch your samplers on. I love them. And I showed them to Harrison when I was done last Saturday. I was like, look at these fabrics. And he goes, oh, I hope people get it. I was like, oh, yeah. I get it. I mean, if I don't sell any of it, I will keep all of it. So I did keep a few pieces for myself, but now I've already sold one of those to somebody. So just get it while it's hot. I can only do a little bit of it at a time, and it's just something I'm doing because I think it's fun and interesting. Okay, and then I'm carrying the You and I and Friends charts. I mentioned that I'm gonna do a little like roll through of different ones here so you can see what they look like. You don't see these a lot of places online. I get them through Ruth Sparrow. If you're a shop, you can contact Ruth. I think she's at twistedthreads.com, and she distributes the You and I and Friends charts. They are exactly what we're stitching these days. Farmy, primitive, pretty, soft, whimsical samplery, cool houses, flowers, urns, really, really cool stuff. And they're not terribly expensive charts. And so I've got a bunch of them in my shop now. And if you want to find anything on my shop, like if you're wondering, you know, if I have any Blackbird designs, there's a search bar on my webpage that you can just put Blackbird designs and it'll show you everything that I've got. And so that's a good way to navigate the old website there. But okay, and I'm not going to bore you with anything more about the shop. I want to kind of keep it to 3 items or less each time because I don't, it's not fun to hear somebody talk about their business all the time. I think that's pretty much all I got this week. Thanks for putting up with all these crazy interruptions. Like I said, it's just kind of when it rains, it pours, right? And it's so hot here right now. And, you know, sometimes you just want to give yourself a bath on a chair and just lick your belly. And just lick it. It makes you feel better. It makes you feel cooler, I guess. That's about it. I hope you guys had a good week. I had a really relaxed 4th with the boys. I made red beans and rice, buttermilk biscuits, and corned beef and cabbage because why not? Who says it has to be hamburgers? And I'll just pretty much be working all weekend, getting stuff ready. So I'll be thinking of you guys, though. I love watching everybody. I want to say hi to Saltbox Stitcher. Everybody says, oh, you got to watch Saltbox Stitcher. You pretty much have to. You have to watch Saltbox Stitcher. The interesting thing about Saltbox Stitcher is that she says she's my BFF, but I never hear from her. And so Saltbox Stitcher, I feel like if we're BFFs, you need to contact me once in a while, and we'll have a chat. Her projects are really cool, and she's very funny and real, and I love people that are just, like, she's very at ease on camera, and it's just really cool because you can just tell she's kind of having fun talking to us about things. And she also believes in, like, no rules, you know? Like, I put glue on my piece. Absolutely you do, Carol. Put glue on your piece. Don't let people tell you what to do. But anyway, I guess that's it. I'm sure I'll see you guys later. You'll see me now, or actually you're finishing seeing me, and I'll have a tutorial up soon on the sawdust finishing because I know y'all are waiting for that. I found some things that I can finish so that I've got something to work on, but see you later. Oh, chickens. Chicken update. Bye. Chicken update. Chicken update. It's very hot, so the chickens are trying to be chill. They keep getting bigger. They're still peeping. They're hanging out in their little hidey holes. They're getting big. They're really getting big.
They are.
Are you getting big? Yeah. Say hello.